Rabotai, welcome to our Monday night shiur. We are about 5 days away from a very special occasion, Pesach Sheni. This second Pesach, the Hilula of Rabbi Meir Baal Hanes. Wow. There's two sources. When is Rabbi Meir Baal Hanes is your side? Some say it's Rosh Chodesh Tevet. Some say it's 14th of Iyar, which is Pesach Sheni. What's interesting about Pesach Sheni is that all the halachot of Pesach pertains to it, except for one. You're allowed to eat chametz on that day. To show you one thing, no matter how much Hashem gives you a second chance, about zrizin, magdimin lemitzvot. If you're first, you still get the bigger mitzvah. So even though you can eat chametz, even though you could still bring the korban Pesach, it's still mutar to eat. That's why the big Rebbes used to make a big party on Pesach Sheni, but they always was very careful to also bring chametz on the table. Chametz with matzah. Anywho, today, our shiur sponsor, the anonymous sponsor, may Hashem bless him with a lot of bracha, v'achshacha, yishod gedolot, yeladim briim, healthy children. A small miracle happened to his child, so he wanted to sponsor anonymously, so Hashem may continue to give him a lot of bracha. I want to start off our shiur today with a small story. A story that I heard 7 days ago. On the 2nd of Iyar, the Hilula of Rabbi Yaakov Yosef, the son of Rav Ovadia Yosef. We know that Rav Ovadia Yosef has like 6 sons. Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Moshe. 4 sons he has, 4. David, 5 sons. 5 sons he has. The eldest son is Yaakov. Rav Ovadia said the eldest son was Yaakov.
Yaakov David.
Yaakov Yosef. Yaakov Yosef. Why did he call him Yaakov? That's Rav Ovadia Yosef's father's name. Yaakov, we call him after his father. We Sfaradim, we do have a minhag to name our kids after our parents even when they're alive. So where did we Bukharians get that whole minhag not to? We were very influenced by Chabadnikim when they came to the Soviet Union. For Chabad, I remember once I was in my brother-in-law's table, so my sister was pregnant, so I said, so if you can have a boy, I told my brother, you're going to name him after your father. He looked at me as if I said Kaddish on his dad already. Shalom. Like I said, I felt so bad saying that after, because it fell to me
natural.
Because in our house, if you have a boy, you have to name him Eliyahu. If not, it's going to be
mandatory.
It's mandatory, you know? Eliyahu. But don't think it's just like this. By us, by my brother-in-law, by my other brother-in-law, the Sfaradi one, every single one of his brothers and sisters has a kid named Yisrael. Every single one. By Ovadia too. Every one of his grandchildren, he has one grandson, each one named Ovadia Yosef. Like this, Ovadia Yosef, Ovadia Yosef, Ovadia Yosef, like this. We Sfardim, we have to do that. Why? Ashkenazim, they're scared. Why? They say, if you name your son after your parent that's alive, it's as if you're taking away his life. Wow. We Sfaradim say just the opposite. According to Kabbalah, if you name after the deceased, it's a sakana. Because let's say he was Chayav Kafakela, he was Chayav Karet, he was Chayav, now he's going inside your kid. And this kid Chassom could suffer because of that nitzotz neshama that's inside of him right now. It happened many times to review Daptai that he named his son after his father-in-law. His father-in-law, twice he named his son after his father-in-law, and both of those kids died. A couple of days after the Brit Milah, and then he had another son, and his father-in-law came to him in a dream and he said, my kafakela is done. Could you please put my name on him? I want to have a life through this boy. He said, I'm not chayav to you, I'm not chayav to any one of you guys. Lech l'shalom, tisa l'shalom chavivi. I'm aftachot bivnim. I don't want to see you, and he didn't name him after him, and nothing happened. So Rabbi Yehuda says to be very careful after naming after the deceased. If somebody in your family is forcing you to put the name of a deceased person, have kavanah when you name them over on a tzaddik. Don't have kavanah on the deceased person, because you don't know what that person did in his life. It could be a sakana. Ashkenazim, they see the opposite. It's a deceased, you're giving him life, you want this, that. Okay, maybe they're bigger than tzaddikim than us. We don't know. We don't do that. I was very, very makpid. Yeah, it's very, very careful. I know they do, but Hashem says, Shomer Pitayim Hashem. Hashem watches over the simple people. When you do something, you're allowed to. Of course you're allowed. There's no yisur in it. Anyways, but I don't want to get into the whole conversation of naming children right now. Just a small hagdama. So, I just wanted to say that tomorrow night is my father's birthday. He was born on Tiferet, Netzach Shabbat Tiferet. And you see the Netzach inside of him. So he's throwing over here a small birthday Torah bash. Yeah, small with a divrei Torah, mitzvot, maasim tovim. You know, we're going to have a seudah here. Yein malchut yad, arav kiyad hamelech. We're going to have over here ochel. We're going to have over here divrei Torah. We're going to have whatever you want over here. So everyone here tomorrow is welcome to come. to join the Rav. Beracha, it's a big mitzvah to get a beracha from a person who has a birthday. Same time, 8:30. Who has a birthday, his mazal is high that day. Whenever a person has a birthday, he shouldn't waste that day on hanging out, as they say. A person should utilize that day as if it's Rosh Hashanah for him. There's 4 Rosh Hashanah, says the Mishnah, but really there's a 5th Rosh Hashanah, because there's Yud K, Vav K. Then there's the Kotz of the Yud, the edge of the Yud, the Kotz. You know the Kotz, the top. You see the top over there. It says over there when God took the Yud out of Sarai's name, right, and put Sarai instead. Hashem said, the Yud came to Hashem and he said, Hashem, how come you took me out of this tzaddik's name? Because the Yud, it's a power. So the Yud goes to Hashem and says, why you took me out of this tzaddik's name? So Hashem said to the Yud, don't worry. I'm going to have one day a person that's going to be so smart. He's going to give thousands of reasons for my halachot. His name will be Shalom HaMelech. And even 1,000 of him won't equal to the tip of your letter, the tip of your Yud. That tip of the Yud is Sfirat HaKeter. So the 5th Rosh Hashanah a person has is his birthday.
It's your own.
It's your own birthday. So the other 4 is the 1st of Nisan, the 1st of Elul, the 1st of Tishrei, and Tu B'Shvat. Those are the 4 Rosh Hashanahs. And the 5th Rosh Hashanah is your birthday. That day a person is judged for all of his ma'asim. And the Ben Ish Chai has a special tefillah to say on the 8th day of your birth. It's a tefillah to say, it's in his book Leshon Chachamim, that you should be shomer your brit the whole year. The Ben Ish Chai has this tefillah. Yeah, when you brit milah. So Ben Ish Chai doesn't celebrate your actual birthday, he celebrates 8 days afterwards, the day of your brit milah, when you get your neshama. The beginning of your neshama starts to go inside of you. So it's very powerful these days. So tomorrow everyone's invited to come to enjoy with the Rav, get a beracha. It's a very special day. We're going to give Divrei Torah tomorrow. We're going to have a lot of stuff over here. B'ezrat Hashem, bli neder, 8:30 Aravit. Now, I want to start off today's shiur with the Torah. The topic is Torah and salamanders. Okay. Why did I pick that? I thought it sounded cool. Okay? So the salamander, the Gemara says, it doesn't burn in fire. It doesn't burn in fire. The skin of the salamander doesn't burn in fire. I'm going to start off my shiur with this, and I'm going to tell you guys a story that I heard this past week on Rav Ovadia Yosef's eldest son's yortzeit in Eretz Yisrael. Rav Benayahu Shemueli, Rosh Yeshivat HaMekubalim Nahar Shalom, was giving this shiur in his Beit Midrash. We know that Rav Yaakov Yosef, he passed away in his 60s, early 60s from pancreatic cancer. He's Rav Ovadia's eldest son, and the son that always butted heads with him. Always they were, very different ways of psikat halacha. Rav Ovadia was very into the poskim over the Ari HaKadosh. And Rav Yaakov Yosef, he was very over the Ari HaKadosh over everybody. To Rav Yaakov Yosef. He was very Sfaradi, let's call it to the... If you think Rav Ovadia Yosef was Sfaradi, his eldest son was even stronger. He was also put in jail a couple of times. His latest time he was in jail was because he gave a haskama to a book that called on all Jews to pick up arms and kick all the Arabs out of Israel. You know how the liberals are in Israel. They're crazy. If you think the guys over here are bad, over there they're nuts. So he gave a haskama on that, and they took him to jail. I think the book was called Hadrat Melech. I think the book, I don't think it's printed anymore. They don't allow printing. What is what?
Promotion.
He promoted the book. This book is Emet La'amitai. When Rav Kahana, you know Rav Kahana, Mayor Kahana? He was assassinated in New York, I believe. He was killed. He was a very famous Israeli politician that was very against the Arabs. He was getting a lot of popularity. When he came to New York for a visit, some Arab, when he put one bullet on his head. And Rav Yaakov Yosef was a very big supporter of his. So anywho, I'm not going for violence or anything. I'm just letting you know what kind of person he was. And he was in jail a couple of times for this in Eretz Yisrael. He wasn't afraid to say the truth. For emet, he would even go butt heads with his father. You know, his father, Ovadia Yosef, Zichrono Livracha, he was a very big, he encouraged the Oslo Accords, Ovadia Yosef. In the Knesset, when Rabin, I don't know if you guys remember the famous picture with Arafat shaking hands with the Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin, and Clinton is over there smiling as if he's some kind of Baba of the world. So this Rabin, he was a man of the left, and liberal. And what happened was that Arafat, they made a deal. There should be peace, no intifadas, no shmi intifadas, in exchange for the whole Shomron. Shomron is what we call today Judea and Samaria and Israel. That's the luscious land. That's where the green stuff is. You go right from Yerushalayim. All the tzaddikim are buried over there. That's the heartland of biblical Israel. So they gave away that part for peace. It was called the Oslo Accords. Or Rabbi Yosef said, do it. He said, peace for land. He said it. Rabbi Yaakov Yosef was against it, and there was a ketzer between father and son for many years. They didn't speak. They didn't talk because he was ish emet. He said, I cannot give over my values, and like this he was very big ish emet.
Wow.
And
We follow him?
Yaakov Yosef?
Yeah.
It depends if you follow his student. I don't know what to tell you. Yaakov Yosef, I don't want to get into it right now. It's political, but I just want to know what kind of ish emet he was. He was a man of truth. By the end of his life, he made obviously peace with his father, and he was considered, if he was to be alive today, he would be the undoubtful unquestionable Gadol Ador of the generation. Even more than any Rav that you know today, he was Mamash Gadol Ador. When he was in his 1 month before he passed away, he was dying from pancreatic cancer. The doctors found it very late. He was already stage 4. And anyways, pancreatic cancer, you don't get. It's almost right. There's nothing you could do about it. 1 month before his passing, he was waking up to. He never missed the shiur Torah he used to have. Never missed the shiur Torah. He used to give sometimes 4 shiur Torahs a day, without pay, without nothing. He used to travel all over the world. His brother, Baal Halacha Be'urar of David Yosef, used to say about him, welcome Rabbi Avraham, that he is considered the Melamed of the generation, the teacher of the generation he was. And that one of the last days of his life, Rav Yaakov Yosef, he was going to Netzach Hama. And Rav David Yosef says his younger brother, who's, he's very big with Chazak. He comes here with Chazak a lot, Rav David Yosef. He wrote a book of Halachot Halacha Berura. Yeah. So he said, I saw my brother walking. His shul was across the street from him. He was 1 month away from his death, dying from pancreatic cancer. How he was waking up in Netzach Hama, and he was walking. It took him half an hour to walk to his shul, which was across the street from his house. Wow. And I saw my brother walking with talit and tefillin. That's the way they do it, like the Ariya Kadosh. And they were walking step by step, just to pray with the minyan one more time in his life. This was my brother, he used to say. Wow. With the end of his energies, he died teaching Torah. This was Rabbi Yaakov Yosef, Tzaddik Yesod. I said Tzaddik Yesod Olam, and a Tzaddik Yesod Olam walked inside the room. Welcome. So on his yard side, I remember. So on his yard side, Rav Benayahu Shmueli, Rosh Yeshivat Nar Shalom, gave a shiur. I was hearing the shiur because Rabbi Yaakov Yosef is a very special dmut, a very special figure. Torah figure, and for me specifically in my life, when he passed away, all of his shiurim was on a USB. So we bought all the shiurim, we used to listen to it. It was, I don't know, for something to us specifically, that where we were in the kollel, we used to listen to him a lot. Rabbi Yaakov Yosef used to say like this. He says, what is the connection between the Ariya Kadosh and all the poskim? Poskim are all the rabbis who write halacha. He says, all the poskim, they're like sheep. Kosher, kadoshim, tzaddikim, sheep. The Ari, what's an Ari? It's a lion. You can have 1,000,000 sheep, but if you have one lion that roars, what happens to all the sheep? They all disperse to 1,000,000 directions. That's the connection. When the Ari says an halacha, and all the poskim say halacha, Aryeh ki yishag. When a lion will roar, Milo Yira, who could stand in front of him? That's what he used to say. He learned under Rav Ben Zion Abba Shaul, under the great Sephardi. He was the eldest son of his father. One time, there's one small story about him. His father was in Egypt for quite a while, teaching Torah over there. His Rebbe of Ezra Atiyah, Porat Yosef, he sent him to Egypt to teach Torah. Back then, Egypt was under Anwar Sadat, Yimach Shemo V'zichro, the great, he made the whole Yom Kippur War, which thousands of Israeli soldiers, till today, we don't know where their bodies are, and all their... basically, he was teaching over there Torah, even before Anwar Sadat. So he said over there, one time, they used to catch all the Jews for one small, espionage. Kabut Abi, they're, KGB. So one time, Rabbi Yaakov Yosef was a young boy. He didn't realize his father had a big library. All of it he left inside Egypt, by the way. He couldn't take anything back with him. So he was on the balcony, and he was playing with the paper, and he was a young boy, and he started taking out the papers, and he started to throw them from the balcony. One Egyptian officer sees suddenly pages with Hebrew letters flying in the air. He's like, it must be the Israeli airplanes are sending
propaganda.
Not propaganda. They're sending codes to bomb Egypt. It's a true story. Wow. They went to his house. They arrested Rav Ovadia Yosef on these charges that he was in the cahoots with the Israeli government. Rav Ovadia Yosef in the cahoots. He was a young man. He was in his 20s. Wow. He was in his 20s at that time. They say Rav Ovadia Yosef's wife, Margalit, her name was, Zichrona Livracha, they used to live in a house, no bathroom, no kitchen. It was a chatzer. You know how it wasn't back then in the Kishlak? You used to have a couple of houses. There was one bathroom in the middle and one kitchen. So when you used to have a lot of people coming to learn Torah from him, she used to hide under the table. There was a big table. She used to feed the baby while he used to talk Torah to the people coming into his house. Wow. Like this kind of poorness Rav Yaakov Yosef was raised. Then later on he became Rav Rashi of Tel Aviv, Rav Rashi of Eretz Israel. Back then, Rav Rashi of Eretz Israel, you were for life. If you became a head chief rabbi, you were till death do us part. What happened? Rav Yosef, he was so charismatic and he was so loved by the people. When he came to New York to collect money, the people in the Knesset, Yimach Shemam, those Erev Rav, the liberal ones over there, they made a law that a chief rabbi could only last for 10 years. He wasn't there. He couldn't make an uproar. When he came back, he found out the law, and it was already too late. He couldn't do anything about it. But it doesn't make a difference. He was still, even though he was out of the job, he still wore the Gelima. Until he didn't pass away, no chief rabbi ever wore the golden Gelima. They only wore the silver one. Then after he passed away, they started wearing with the golden embroidery over there. If you pay attention, his son, right? Every other rabbi after him, they only wore the silver one. The silver, if you pay attention. Why? Silver is below gold. Silver is worth less. Rav Ovadia Yosef was gold. And I said he was such a big, he was chacham. And of course, Rav Ovadia Yosef, and he was chief rabbi. You know who was the Ashkenazi chief rabbi? Rav Shlomo Goren. You know who he was? You ever see when the Israelis in 1967, they took back Jerusalem? There was a rabbi by the Kotel, he's blowing the shofar. That was Rav Shlomo Goren. He was his main, but they were antagonists. They were always butting heads inside the chief rabbi. Ashkenazi chief rabbi. Good competitive way. He was very popular of Shlomo Goren. Very popular. He was the IDF's chief rabbi. And he became chief rabbi of the Ashkenazim in the time of Rav Ovadia. So there was a very big dmut by the Sfaradim. How did Rav Ovadia Yosef become a chief rabbi? How did he start? Like this, he came to the class, he had 20, 30. I used to open a Ben Ish Chai. He started to teach halachot, Ben Ish Chai. He said, this Ben Ish Chai doesn't make sense to me from Marana Shulchan Aruch. He starts to connect the both of them. He starts to argue. Wow. Suddenly, all the rabbis in Jerusalem, all the Sfariyah, they want to put him in Cherem. Kick him out of the thing. You going against the Ben Ish Chai. He was Ish Emet. He was a man of truth. He stood his own. He fought for the halakha. Once Rav Ovadia Yosef, you guys got me started on this. I got myself started on this. I can't stop now. Once Rav Ovadia Yosef, when he was, you ever seen with the red how did he get those red sunglasses? He was always a proponent of the halakha that a woman have to say the beracha of l'adlik ner shel Shabbat Kodesh before and then light the candles. All the Sfaradiyot, they used to do just the opposite, like the Ashkenazim. They used to light and then say the beracha. One time his eyes got very, very sick. Why? Back then, no electricity, only if you were able to afford it. He used to learn by the light of the candle. By the way, today people who look too much at the screen, they have the same exact problem. They ruining their eyesight. I know people all day by the screen, learning, by the way. Right now you could have 40,000 books in one USB. 40,000 books. 40,000 Orach Chokhmah. They learn, their eyes are already failing them at the age of 30, failing them. They need the reading glasses. The screen over there is going on. It's not bari, it's not healthy, it's kind of thing. He used to stay by the screen, and he used to stay by the sfarim with the light of the candle, and like this, he was learning. He got to the age of 30, 40, his eyesight started to fail. Doctor said, you're going to go blind. And malasot. He wouldn't pray Aravit with a minyan. He used to pray Aravit 20, 30 minutes. Usually during the week, Rav Ovadia used to pray Shemona Esrei maybe 4 or 5 minutes. Lightning speed. 3 minutes used to finish the whole Shemona Esrei. Chik-chak. He used to finish. You think that's fast? I know one Rebbe who finishes Shemona Esrei in 30 seconds. Like this. And he used to wait. So people shouldn't think, what is a Rav praying so fast? Don't ask any question. When you're going to get to his footsteps, then you're going to start making these kind of faces like this over there. Okay? So Rav Ovadia Yosef used to daven, but when he used to daven for something, when he to get his eyesight back to learn Torah, he was davening, he was crying. Didn't help him. He said, take me to the kever of Rav Yosef Karo. Rav Yosef Karo. I fought for his halachot. He has to daven for me in Shamayim to get me back my eyesight. They took him to Rav Yosef Karo's kever. It's right next to the Ariya Kadosh. Ariya Kadosh is right here. Ramak, Rav Shlomo Alkabez, the writer of Lecha Dodi, Rav Elazar Eskeri right here, a Sefer HaCharedim. 2 steps down, over here, down the steps. Yeah, over there, Maran Rav Yosef Karo. He was davening over there, crying over there. He says, I fought for your halacha that the woman should say the bracha first and then light the Shabbat candles. I fought for your halachot. Daven for me in Shamayim to give me back my eyesight. The Zohar says the dead don't know what's going down here. They have no idea what's going on. That's why you have to go to their kever and let them know that they should daven for you. And what happened over there? He got his eyesight back. But always until then, from then on, he needed to wear red shades. He's still a little was left over there. A little he needed, but he had his eyesight till the end of his life. To the end of his life, he has, look at the kuach shel Torah. Look at the kuach, how he believed in the Torah that he did. If we would believe a quarter, 10%, 5% of what these tzaddikim used to have, we wouldn't need sigulot, this, that. The koach of the Torah itself, it's going to bring us back to the right point. I want to tell you guys a chidush. So why I'm bringing this up with Rav Yosef?
Salamander.
The Salamander, right. Rav Yosef had a teacher. When he was in Porat Yosef, the Yishal Porat Yosef, I don't want to get into how it was built because then we're going to talk another 20 minutes of how it was built. His Rebbe when he was a young boy was Rav Natan Salem. Syrian rabbi. His father was Rav Eliyahu Salem. He was very good friends with the Av Beidin. Listen to the story, guys. When I heard the story, I got chills. I don't know if you're going to get chills, but I got chills. He was good friends with the Av Beidin of the Sfaradim. He was a Levi, Rav Yosef Yedid HaLevi. Rav Yosef Yedid HaLevi was a Mekubal too. He was instrumental in getting the Sidur HaRashash out of the Yeshiva Rechovot HaNahar. Why? Bet El. Why? Because there was a ban on getting the Kabbalistic Sidurs out of the Yeshiva. Whoever took the books out of the Yeshiva was put in Cherem, excommunication. 300-400 years already from the time of the Rashash, there was a ban. You couldn't take them out of the Yeshiva. What happened was, one Bukharian rabbi, of Shlomo Musayev, may Hashem rest his soul in peace, he opened up in Jerusalem with the Bukharians. They were different than the Temanim. When the Yemenites came to Israel, they were all poor. A lot of them, they were putting camps. I don't want to say concentration camps, but they were putting camps. In these camps, you guys know the stories. Their kids were kidnapped. Just this year, the Israeli government admitted there was foul play. After years of fighting in the Knesset, they used to kidnap their kids. Kids used to go to school in these camps. Suddenly, their kid is dead. A car ran over him. What do you mean? Where's the grave? Where's the body? Oh, no, we took him. It's under the ground. When they want to dig right now, like this, tens of hundreds of kids were gone missing. The Bukharians were different. When we came to Israel, we came with pool. Kesef v'zahav. Why? Because the Bukharians were very big. When the people used to come from Israel to collect money, they were very big in tzedakah. Very big in tzedakah. So Hashem blessed their descendants. They should not suffer like that. When Rabbi Shlomo Musayev came to Yerushalayim, he bought what we call today Shchunat HaBukharim. But the original name was not Shchunat HaBukharim. The original name was called Rechavia. Rechavia. Yeah, the original name was the Bukharian quarters. The original name was Rechavia. Why Rechavia? That was the name of his son. You know how we Bukharians like our name after our kids, our fathers, this, that. The name should be like, he named it Rechavia. Then the name was changed to Shchunat HaBukharim. Today, there's no Bukharim over there. I'll give you that one. There's no Bukharis living in Shchunat HaBukharim.
1 or 2 businesses.
Maybe 2 businesses, this, that. I think his grandson is living over there. Unfortunately, he's not an observant Jew. I don't want to get into what happened to his descendants, unfortunately. But Shlomo Musayev, he was a big tzaddik, and he bought a Bukharian with a couple of big, rich Bukharian Gvirim. And you guys don't know this. One of the first things he did, he opened up 2 things: a house for Mashiach.
Still there.
It's still there. Now it's a seminary for girls. Wow. He called it Beit Mashiach. This is the original Beit Mashiach, before Chabad. The Chabad, not from the Bukhari. Chabad, he listens to this. He's with a bow and arrow waiting for me outside his door. The first Beit Mashiach was built by Shlomo Musayev.
I've been there.
You understand? Now it's a girls' seminary. The second thing he built over there was a yeshiva for Mekubalim. Bukhari without Zohar is not a Bukhari. You should know that. He built Yeshivat Mekubalim. Why did he build it? Rabbi Shaul Chaim Duek HaKohen, he was kicked out of the yeshiva of Mekubalim. Why? He took the Sidurim out with him. He says, guys, Mashiach isn't coming. We got to disseminate these books. We got to disseminate them. He says, if you're going to disseminate this, you're getting kicked out of the yeshiva. I don't care. Kick me out. He had nowhere to go. He was a big tzaddik. Rav Shlomo Musayev came, opened him up a yeshiva.
Whoa.
You understand what I'm talking to you over here? This is tzaddikim gedolei olam. Rav Shlomo Musayev was a tzaddik yesod olam. Understand? Huh?
He wanted to destroy the books.
He wanted to disseminate it. He wanted to print it. Send it out to the world. People should learn. People should think. And then the third thing you open up is, as you guys know, Beit Knesset Musayev, which today it really grew into 7 different Beit Knessiyot over there. So in this place over there of the Shlomo Musayev was the first Sephardic leaders of Gadaev Yosef. Rabbi Yitzhak Kaduri used to learn over there, by the way. He used to sit in a Shlomo Musayev's shul every day. People used to come to him, bracha, where he used to sit originally, before he opened up his yeshiva. And Shlomo Musayev's shul used to sit, by the Bukharim. That's where they used to sit over there. What schut he had to say over there. And by the way, Shlomo Musayev had original manuscripts of the Rambam.
Wow.
Original. Today it's in Tel Aviv University. Today they took it. And it's a lot of politics over there. I don't want to get into it. Very big ganavim over there they are. Whatever the case was, over there, so Rabbi Yitzhak, in this place over there, all the young Sephardi leaders were growing up over there, in this Shchunat HaBukharim. So over there, Rav Natan Salem used to teach Rav Gadaev Yosef. As a young boy, Torah, used to teach him Torah. He was good friends with Rav Yosef Yedid Halevi, who was the Rav Rashi Av Bedin of that area over there for the Sfaradim. Check out what happened. They were good friends. How you say? Bosom friends. Davek me'ach, closer than a brother. Gigardos. I like that word. Closer than the liver. When the Bukharians are livers, I don't know what that means. So he was closer than he was close. They made a deal. Blood brothers. They made a deal. Whoever dies first, this is not a story from 1,000 years ago. I'm telling you a story. I'm hearing this from the first person. Rav Natan Salem said the story to Rav Benayahu Shmueli, what happened to him, to his father. He said they made a deal, the father and his best friend, Av Bedin, whoever dies first is going to come to his buddy and tell him, Ma kore ba'olamot ha'elyonim. What's going up in the olamot ha'elyonim? You're not sleeping this week, it's a good sign. So what happened over there? Who died first? Obviously, Rav Yosef Yedid Halevi. He was Av Beidin. The Gemara says, be careful when you take a position of a boss. Every boss goes first. Don't be a boss in your life. Always be the worker. You live longer in life. Hey, it's common sense. It's common sense.
Less stress.
Huh? Less stress? Anywhom, you're Chacham Gadol. So you're from Williamsburg. So what happened over there? He passed away. He didn't come to him in a dream. What happened was a third friend passed away, Rav Yehoshua Sharabani. Rav Yehoshua Sharabani was the father-in-law of Rav Ben Zion Abba Shaul, Rosh Yeshivat Porat Yosef, Baal Or LeZion. When he left to Eretz Yisrael, the Ben Ish Chai walked him to the docks. Do you know what that means? The Ben Ish Chai will walk you to the docks. He used to say, Ben Ish Chai liwauti. The Iraqis don't say vav, they say wow, like the Temanim. Ben Ish Chai liwauti. He used to say, Ben Ish Chai walk me to the docks. You know what kind of kavod that is? After he passed away, the third friend, Rav Eliyahu Salem, dreams. Hazon Laila. In his dream, he sees he's in a wedding. Who's the Mesader Kiddushin? The third friend, Rav Yehoshua Sharabani. He tells him, Rav Eliyahu, Ma ata oseh po? What are you doing here? Hareh chavercha, your friend, Rabbi Yosef, mechakeh lecha bebet HaKnesset. Your friend, Rabbi Yosef, Yedid Halevi, the one who promised him, is waiting for you in the Bet HaKnesset. He's waiting for you. And in his dream, he feels like he's alive. He's like, but he passed away, he tells him. Harehu ben ameti, he's ben hayim. He's within the, What is he waiting for? Top. Nesader ta kiddushin in the dream. We'll do the kiddushin in the wedding, and then we'll go see him. What does he want from me? If it was us, we would. In a dream, they do the kiddushin. It's a good sign. When you see a wedding if you see a wedding in your dream, it's a good sign. If you see a talit, you're wearing a talit in a dream, it's a good sign. It means kol sason, kol simcha. But not tonight if you see it, because I just told you about it. So he did it in a dream. Tomorrow, Nadim. So he says, okay, after the kiddushin, I'm gonna go visit
my old friend.
He goes to the Beit HaKnesset, where they used to daven. He sees him. He said, Kivodo ben hayim. You're within the living. מה אתה עושה פה? אז כבר נשבעתי לך. I swore to you. שאגיד לך, I will tell you מה קורה בעולמות העליונים. Where are we standing in the upper worlds? He says, נו, אין לי רשות לדבר. I have no permission to say, תתיר אותי משבועתי. Release me from my vow.
Oh, wow.
I have no permission to say.
Come to Lashem Friday.
Come to Lashem Friday. What's the package? We'll send you to Olam Haba, you say? Friday. He says, Tatir oti b'shvati, release me. He says, Tagid li davar echad. Tell me one thing. He says, Agid lecha. I will tell you. Tagid letalmidei chachamim. Tagid leYehudim hatzadikim. Tell those people who learn Torah. Al tarpu yedechem milimud haTorah. Don't become weak in the learning of the Torah. And he takes out a cup of water. And he says, look, when you do an averah, this is what happens. You make a ketem. You did an averah with your hand. You make a blemish in your hand. This is the Torah. He spills it on his hands. Vehine shava kibsaro, it's gone. That's the power of limud Torah. Go tell the Talmidei Chachamim, he says, that's the power of learning Torah. Al tarpu mililmod Torah. Do not be weak in the learning of the Torah. Every day, guys, this is not a story from 100 years ago. This is not a story from 1,000 years ago. This is a story, I'm telling you, from a person who heard it from the Baal Maaseh. From the Baal Maaseh, he heard this story. And you know what? He's not making a chidush. The Ariya Kadosh already said it. The Ariya Kadosh says, there was a man called Elisha ben Abuya. You know who he was? He was a man that could take his soul out of his body and go to a place called a Pardes. The upper gardens. Above Gan Eden. Above Gan Eden. Above Gan Eden. The upper gardens. Pardes.
Sounds like paradise.
Where do you think they got it from? Bullshit small. So it says over there, Elisha ben Abuya was the Rebbe, one of the Rebbes of Rabbi Meir Baal Hanes. Do you know who Rabbi Meir Baal Hanes was?
The miracle worker.
He's the only one that's called.
Miracle worker.
You have a tzedakah box at home?
Yeah.
Make another one. Say, this is for Rabbi Meir Baal Hanes.
What do you do with
You want to light a candle and send it to Tveri, to Rabbi Meir Baal Hanes. You want to light a candle? Say, Lischut Rabbi Meir Baal Hanes. You lost something? Elaha de Meir Aneni. Rabbi Meir Baal Hanes is called the. When Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, you know who Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was? What did he write, by the way? What did he write? The Zohar. Did you say the Zohar? What? The Zohar. It's an R. Did you say it? What's wrong with you? That's Khalila.
He wrote the screenplay.
He wrote the script, exactly. So, he wrote the Zohar HaKadosh. The Zohar HaKadosh. Can anybody beat Rabbi Shimon? Do you know today, after the Chorban Beit HaMikdash, 300,000 Jews, 300,000, go up to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai's kever and Meron? I was there. Do you know what's going on over there? It's like a Hilulah of the Beit HaMikdash. I was there. I went to daven over there. First, I went to Rabbi Meir Baal Hanes, obviously. When Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was standing in front of Rabbi Akiva, and Rabbi Akiva says, I'm placing my last 5 students in order. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, he was getting ready to the first. Rabbi Shimon, Ata Sheni. You're the second. Rishon, Rabbi Meir, Ba'al Hanes. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai's face became red. Rabbi Akiva whispered in his ear, Dayecha, it's enough that me and your creator know your worth. Let him go first. Dayecha, it's enough. Rabbi Meir Ba'al Hanes, Halacha non lifseka kemoto. Halacha was never paskin like Rabbi Meir Ba'al Hanes. You know why? He could find you 39 reasons why something tameh is tahor. And something tahor is tameh. But I know this is tameh, this is tahor. But he can make you so crazy in the halacha, he could switch it for you with his pilpul. That's why, what's his name? Meir, but that's not his real name. You know what his real name is? Nehorai. Light.
Wow.
His real name is Nehorai. Light. Light. When Rabbi Meir learned from Elisha ben Avuya, now look at the power of the Torah. Rabbi the Ari HaKadosh brings this down. It's a Zohar. It's a Gemara. Elisha ben Avuya, when he came back from the Pardes, you know what the first thing he did? Shtuyot. You know what it was? You know what Shtuyot is, right? The code. This shul has a code word. Shtuyot, it means, I don't want to say.
What does it mean?
Balagan. So, he went to do it on Shabbat. Tana Kadosh. Tana Kadosh. On Shabbat he went to do it. So the person in charge of the place said to him, aren't you that rabbi? The one that gives the lecture across the street to like 10,000 people? There was a turnip, radish, turnip in the ground. It was Shabbat. He took it and he ripped it out of the ground. Chayav sekila. He said, oh, it can't be you. You're acher. Till the end of his life, that klitschka stuck to him. Acher.
What's acher?
When Acher passed away, the Gemara says smoke was coming out of his grave. Smoke was coming out of his grave. The Gemara said, you know why smoke was coming out? Hell couldn't burn him. He was the biggest Rasha, became atheist. But then you know how it started? Non-Jewish music.
Was the rabbi that followed him for a while?
Too much pop smoke. You smoking up your pop. Huh? Rabbi Meir Ba'al Hanes.
Oh, I made it from it.
That's you know how I teach kids in the yeshiva.
Voice came out of heaven.
Huh?
Voice came out of heaven.
That's afterwards. That's before he passed away. The voice came out of heaven. Before. After he passed away, the smoke was coming out of his grave. Rabbi Meir took him to hell. Rabbi Meir took him to hell, but hell couldn't burn him.
Some rabbi came in the future and stopped it. No,
Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. I'm not up to that part of the story. That's not my point. My point is that hell couldn't burn him. Atheist, Mechalel Shabbat, Chilul Hashem, and no more than that. Couldn't burn him.
Wow.
Why?
His Torah.
because his Torah is so powerful.
His Torah was like the skin of a salamander. Just like salamander doesn't burn in the fire, so to the Torah makes your neshama protection. Even if you're Rasha Merusha, Kirish'ei Rish'ut.
But if you learn Torah, nothing could touch you.
It's just gonna be nice.
Va'id.
It's gonna be nice and warm, and that's it.
Nice and warm.
That's it.
The smell might bother you too.
That's it.
Get some cologne with you when you're there. But Rabotai, do you understand what I'm talking about? Kal, the Ari said that. Now, the Ari HaKadosh brings this down in Shari. He says, Kal v'chomer mi orosh el Salamandra.
Yeah, Salamander.
How do we know this from? Rebbe, look at me.
Good show.
You want a tish? Your buddy is right here though. But the Ari HaKadosh says, Chizkiyahu HaMelech. You know who he was?
The first.
He was supposed to be Mashiach. Chad Mashma'it, he was Mashiach. If I will tell you better than this, he was the Mashiach. Chizkiyahu HaMelech. His father Ahaz, Melech Yehuda, took his son Chizkiyahu. There was a Avodah Zarah back then called Gay Ben Hinnom. That's where we get the name Gehinnom from, by the way. From there, yeah.
What is the
So
name
this
again?
Gay Ben Hinnom, the Gay is a valley of called Ben Hinnom. What else is Avodah Zarah? It was shaped like a bull, like an egel, made out of metal. It was hollow inside. They used to light it on fire. You know, metal and fire, best friends. It used to get red hot, and they used to take their firstborn baby and place it as a korban on this. Yes, Ad Kedei Kach. So Ahaz, Melech Yehuda, the king of Judah, he said, his first son was Chizkiyahu. He said, first son, le'avodah zara.
Wow.
His mother was a tzaddiket. She smeared him with salamander skin. When he was on it, he didn't burn. When he grew up, he became Mashiach. How? He took a sword. He went in front of every house and every yeshiva. He says, whoever comes out of this place, yidakir b'chirif, will be stabbed by the sword.
Executed.
The salamander skin, which protects you from the fire, is the Torah. The power of the Torah, because the Mashiach Tzidkenu in the future, don't think he's going to come. He's going to go to the nice guy who has a store open on Shabbat and be like, could you please close your store on Shabbat? Yesh kesef v'zahav. He's going to be like, Kol mishe sheyetzeh me'makom hazeh yidaker b'cheref. Not my words, the Rambam's words. The Rambam says, Yachriach. He will force us to keep the Torah. And then we're gonna get it b'rtzonot. Don't tell me he's a bad guy for doing that. Why? A guy who doesn't want to divorce his wife. What do we do to him?
You're allowed to beat him up.
But he's giving it out of his against his will. No, says the Rambam.
It's a
He
mitzvah.
wants to do the right thing, but his Yetzer Hara doesn't want to give it to him.
Like
So
Pharaoh.
too, we want to do the right thing.
We're helping him.
But we're just helping you
We're
out, man.
promoting.
One, yeah, go pick up the thing. Shah, over here. No, over here, yeah. One more over here on this side. That's what it is. That's the Mashiach Tzidkenu. And then, and only then, when Mashiach Tzidkenu will do that, when he's gonna make all the true Yehudim keep Torah and mitzvot, and he will ingather all the exiles, and he will build the Mikdash, and only then he will be known as the true Mashiach Tzidkenu. B'mhera b'yameinu baruch Adonai le'olam. Amen ve'amen. Amen.